What's up, guys? Today we're taking a look at this knife. This is a SOG knife. This is a very large SOG knife, pretty much SOG's biggest folding model. This is the SOG Seal XR. Look at that thing. This is a massive dinosaur of a knife. Huge bruiser, really thick blade. Look how thick this blade is. This thing is huge. It really is a dinosaur. I mean, just look at all this jimping. It's like 360 jimping. Look at that. All the way from the clip point here, all the way around to the back of the handle. You got this big giant, pry bar, hammer head thing on the back. And then the jimping keeps going all the way here to the flipper tab and then all the way up onto the flipper tab. And this thing's huge. And it's absolutely aggressive. This is probably the most aggressive kind of tactical work knife that's around. It's a lot bigger than I imagined it would be. I don't know why. I thought it would be like not as big as it is until I got it. But holy moly, the flipping action on this thing is like really nice. Like, I didn't think the action on this could be so good with, it being a crossbar lock. But SOG is just really good at dialing in a flipper tab with a crossbar lock. They did it on the Pentagon XR. They did a really good job on that one. They have it on the Terminus XR, which is pretty good on that one as well. But this one whacks. I mean, this one comes out with authority. It slams open. I mean, you can see like the recoil. It absolutely recoils. It's just incredible. It runs on bearings, so it's nice and smooth. I mean, look at this free floating action here. You can hear the bearings a little bit. The bearings definitely is a little bit bearing noise, which is a little bit weird. Let me listen so you can hear that. So there is a little bit of bearing noise, but for how smooth it is, I can't complain. It's super heavy, super chunky. You see how wide it is. See how thick these handles are, thick the blade is. I mean, this is thicker than the 308, it's thicker than a Dominus, and I'll compare a couple of these to it as well. This is the SOG pocket clip, massive SOG, thick, wide pocket clip. Kind of reminds me of the Cold Steel 8010 pocket clips, how they're really wide like that. So kind of similar to that. This is a USA-made knife. USA-made crossbar locking, massive, huge folder. So here you go. It's got S35VN blade steel. You see here it says Studies and Observation Group. That's what SOG stands for, if y'all didn't know that. CLXR. And this particular one, I know some of these came out with it. They came out with a misprint on the blade. So instead of saying CPM S35VN, it says it says CPM 3S5VN. So it's a little bit interesting. You see there, get a little bit of a misprint. Kind of funny. And it's not just this one. I've looked it up, and there are some other ones. I guess there was a batch of these or whatever that came out of the factory with a misprinted blade steel on the blade. So it's kind of unique, kind of interesting. It is a legit SOG. I do know that. So pretty cool. And then on this side, it just says USA made with that flag. So really cool. I love the shape of this blade. I don't know what it is, but just like the super aggressive like clip point. Looks really cool, and it works really well too. This thing actually slices okay. It's very thick behind the edge because it's it's a flat grind, and it is very thick to begin with, so you can't get super thin, but it makes it really strong. So this is really just supposed to be a very strong bruiser knife. You can see how big it is in my hand, and I have pretty larger size hands. I even got a little bit sticking out here on the back. It fits my hand really well, considering that it has these indents, like these choils for your fingers to specifically go in. It actually does fit them pretty well. This last one is a little bit weird. Kind of have to space it out a little bit different. It almost lands on top of that hump, but it does feel pretty good overall. Let's see. It's got a lanyard loop, you see here. I'm not sure how this thing is held together other than these two screws. It's got like this bolt here on the back, kind of interesting. And then you got this this thing. It's kind of like a pry bar, hammer, skull crusher kind of thing. I don't know. It does have weight reduction though. It is milled out a little bit on the inside there for weight reduction. So it has steel liners that go all the way up and inside these plasticky FRN, handle scales. So it feels very solid considering that it's like a hard plastic handle scales. It's got this aggressive like texturing, as you can see there. It's aggressive like micro diamond texturing, and it's got these lines to imitate like gun grips kind of deal, grip style. Kind of interesting, but it's got the nice chamfer here on the edges for your fingers, so it's not super uncomfortable considering that it's actually pretty comfortable considering that it is so jimpy everywhere. It has tons of jimping everywhere. It's really not that bad. And then it does have a backspacer, which obviously has jimping on it as well. But the placement of your fingers is very comfortable. I would say that the placement of where it tells you to put your fingers it feels great. It's just that the jimping kind of makes it, kind of ruins that, you know, if you're just holding it with your hands. I'm sure this knife is probably made for gloves. Out of all the knives I have, this is probably the one you want to use gloves on, definitely. The action is just insane, though. I mean, holy moly. I don't know how they achieve this kind of action with a detent, or what acts as the detent, because, you know, crossbar locks don't really have a detent. What acts as the detent feels really good. It really does. It feels amazing. And that crossbar lock is like really satisfying to actuate. You can even flip it out with the lock as well. You can reverse flick it with this hole, or flick it out with the hole. It's a little bit hard to do because of how stiff that the springs is, how stiff the what acts as the detent is holding it in, how stiff it is. The recoil of it pulling it back, it's held in very tightly. So it is a little bit hard to get out with your. It feels better like this than reverse flicking it. Reverse flicking it's a little bit hard, but you can do it if you have strong fingers, I guess. But the flipper tab is really what it's meant to use. So you're really meant to use the flipper tab on this guy. And look at how big this thing is. This thing really sticks out. I mean, that's a big flipper tab there. This thing's awesome, and it's a lot of fun. And the cool thing is you can use it as a normal knife, even though you don't need something this big. It's fun to carry around a big knife sometimes. And so that's why I think this thing's awesome. Let's do some size comparisons. Compare this knife up against. Let's do the Spyderco Para 3, Paramilitary 2 and the Para 3. So there you go. You can see it's much bigger than those, both of those, much longer, much chunkier. Let's compare it to some smaller knives, QSP Penguin and the Benchmade Bug Out. There you go, another crossbar lock. You see there, it is way bigger than both of those. Really, in every way. I mean, you could almost fit one of these in the handle. And then we'll compare it to some bigger knives here. The ZT-0308 and the Microtech MSI. So you can see there, it's just about as long as both of those. Might even be, including this this part at the end, it's probably longer than the 308 and the MSI. But yeah, it's a really big knife. And you can see here, I'll compare to blade thickness. It's way thicker than that guy, the 308. And then also thicker than the MSI as well. So the blade thickness on this thing is just insane. You really get a lot of strength in that blade. And then the last knife I'll compare it to is another crossbar lock. This is the one that it makes me think of a lot, is the Benchmade Adamas, which also has a crossbar lock there. Yep, and has a similar blade style. I don't know, they kind of compare well in my head. You can see kind of similar blade length, maybe a little bit longer on the Adamas because it has better ratios, but overall it's pretty similar. It does have a way, I don't say way bigger, but it is a thicker blade stock definitely on the SOG. So I don't know why, the detent on this thing, you know, the tension, not the detent because there isn't one, but the tension that holds in this blade is just amazing. And the flipper tab is just super satisfying. So this is a fun dinosaur of a knife. The last thing I'll do is take the weight on this thing. It's a fun knife to hang around. And it's a fun knife to carry if you really like big knives. If you don't like big knives, don't get this. You won't enjoy it. It's huge, it's chunky, it's clunky. See, hang on. Okay, and there you go. Over 8 ounces, 8.2 ounces. That's insane. 8.2 ounces. So, you know, if you really want to carry a big knife that's heavy, that'll weigh you down, this is the way to go. It also makes you feel like really cool when you carry this thing around because it's massive. And, you know, you can use a small knife, but you could also use this if you want. So, just a lot of fun. Just a fun one. It's a good knife, and I definitely recommend this one. I think it's a little bit underrated, just because I don't see them around all the time. I see a lot of other knives being talked about a little bit more than this one, but it's a really good knife. And they're coming out with a new version of it in MagnaCut, and with these, they're making the liners, I think, carbon fiber to make it even lighter on the newer version with MagnaCut. So definitely a cool to look out for that one as well. I think I might get that one when it comes out. We'll see, but I highly recommend this one if you're into the big knives. Don't get this if you like small knives, but it's a fun one. So that's it for this one. Let me know what you think of SOG knives. Let me know what you think of the Seal XR. And please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and have a great day. Bye.